Alright, so now we're going to go in and we're going to set up the sparks for the initial explosion as well. And so for this, I'm going to set the timeline back to frame 1. And we're going to do this all in the same nucleus. So let's select our nucleus and let's set the start frame to, actually start frame 10, like the start frame of our fluids. And now since we rolled back the start frame, we're just going to have to set a couple of keys on our emitters. Otherwise they're going to be on for this entire time. So let's go to frame 80 and make sure we key both these on at frame 80. And now let's go to frame 79 and key them both off. Let's just double check those keyframes. Okay, so now let's go back into the beginning of our sequence here. And so I'm going to start by creating the same volume emitter from the middle here. So I'm just going to duplicate this and delete the constraint, because I believe it won't come with it, right? So let's just delete the constraint and reconstrain it. So let's just select the chopper and constrain this. Now for this, we're going to do about the same thing. We're just going to blow it off in a circle, but let's just push it off in a different direction a little bit, just to make it look more interesting. So let's start by pushing it out in X and a little bit up in Y. And let's keep the speed random at 100. And let's turn the directional speed to 125 and away from center at 125 with a random direction of 1. There we go. So now let's go into our camera view and take a look at this. Oops, and let's just add these particles in to our emitter here and use the selected emitter. And let's make sure to key on the rate. So let's leave this on for 4 frames and key this on a rate of 1,000. And let's key it off at frame 15. There we go. So we get a burst of particles and it's kind of off to the left. So okay, so now that we have that, now we're just going to go in and create a couple of directional emitters. And let's just create this. Rename this Sparks Emitter 4. And now let's just parent this to the same area and constrain it. And so for this emitter, we're just going to leave it on for a few frames, say 3 frames, and let's just do a little bit of amount here, 250, and let's key it off at frame 14. So it's just going to be a little burst of particles, nothing much. And let's push this off in a direction a little bit in X, and let's just have it up a little bit. And let's lower the spread to 0.15. We just want to make it a bit more different than the other one. And it's all about randomizing different directions and making things a bit more interesting that way. So let's increase the speed to about 150 and randomize about 100. Let's try this. And let's add these particles in. And let's see here. Alright, so it doesn't seem to be doing a whole lot. So let's just take a look at our emission here. Let's just boost this up to 10 times for now. Yeah, there we go. So it's just putting off a little bit more onto the left side. And that just makes everything a bit more interesting. So I'm going to take this back down to 250. And now that we have that set up, let's duplicate this emitter. And let's just put one off in another direction. So let's Control Select and parent that. And let's use that, add that into the particles. And now let's just push this off in another direction. So with this emitter, let's just, maybe we'll keep it on for a few frames longer, say till 15. And then 16, let's key it off. And let's just change these values just a little bit. Let's push it down a little bit. In Y, sorry, not X. Let's push it down. And let's push it in -Z a little bit. And let's lower the spread. And increase the speed random. And this is just going to make things look a little bit more interesting even further. So there we go. We got some shooting down, we got some shooting up, and it's just all about breaking out this central pattern, making things look a little more organic. Maybe these sparks were busting off this blade here or something like that. So the more you kind of go in and just randomize different attributes and shoot things off in different directions, it's just going to make for a more interesting explosion. So there we have it. So lastly, I'm going to go into our sparks, and I'm just going to put a little bit of conserve on, again, so it slows down a little bit over time, but just a little bit. So 0.99, and now this will slowly lose some velocity. And there's our final explosion as well. So we have it. Looks pretty great. So let's go in and let's cache these out. And there we go. So that's it for this module. So in the next module, we're going to bring everything together and set up the renders, and it's going to look pretty awesome. So we'll see you in the next module.